You know, for decades, we've been sold this idea that business is a science, that it's all about data, spreadsheets, and just cold, hard logic. But what if that whole idea is, well, kind of a lie? Today, we're going to explore why the most powerful marketing isn't found in a spreadsheet at all. Nope. It's found in the messy, unpredictable, and fascinating world of human psychology. And maybe, just maybe, a little bit of magic. This sentence right here, this is the key to everything we're talking about today. It's a direct challenge to the idea that people are just numbers on a page, because we aren't rational, predictable little robots. We are messy, emotional, and frankly, our decisions are often guided by a kind of psychologic that a calculator is never going to understand. So where did this obsession with pure logic even come from? Well, it's actually rooted in a foundational belief that, as we're about to see, is built on this one massive and deeply flawed assumption about how we all think and act. And this is it, the efficient market hypothesis. Now, it sounds all academic, but this is the bedrock of classical economics. And it basically assumes that we're all just walking calculators, constantly trying to get the most bang for our buck. If a product is cheaper and better and faster, well, we should buy it. It's simple, right? Except that's not what we do. Not even close. This slide really lays out the two different ways of seeing the world. Over on the left, you've got the physics view, that neat, orderly, predictable world of spreadsheets. But on the right, you have the psychologic view, and that's the messy, chaotic, emotional reality we all actually live in. And here's the thing, businesses that stay stuck on the left are always going to be outmaneuvered by those who get what's happening on the right. To really, truly see the failure of logic, we don't have to look any further than one of the biggest marketing success stories in history. I'm talking about a brand that by any rational measure should have been a complete and total failure. So yeah, let's talk about Red Bull. Okay, so I want you to imagine you're in the boardroom. Your job is to use data, to use logic, to decide if this new drink is a winner or a loser. Let's look at the cold, hard facts you would have been looking at. First thing, the taste. In focus groups, people didn't just dislike it. They described it as tasting medicinal. Ugh, it's not refreshing like a Coke. So from a logical standpoint, that's strike one. Second, look at the can size. At a time when competitors were all about going bigger, Red Bull shows up in this weirdly small, skinny can. So you're literally getting less for your money. Okay, that's strike two. And the final nail in the logical coffin? The price. It was way more expensive than other soft drinks on the shelf. So let's recap. It's a smaller, worse-tasting product that costs you more money. By any logical measure, this is a complete disaster. Strike three. You're out, right? But here's the brilliant twist. The marketers behind Red Bull weren't thinking logically at all. They were using psycho-logic. That medicinal taste? It wasn't a flaw, it was a signal of potency. It told your brain, hey, this stuff is strong, it works. And the high price? That signaled efficacy and quality. I mean, you don't trust cheap medicine, do you? And that small can? That signaled a controlled dose, not a big, sugary soda. Every single one of its logical weaknesses was actually its greatest psychological strength. Genius. So how can we actually apply this kind of thinking? Well, it all starts with understanding a really fundamental principle. You don't always have to change reality if you can just change the perception of reality. There's a whole field dedicated to this. It's called psychophysics. And the core idea is pretty simple. We don't experience objective reality. We experience our perception of it. Everything gets filtered through our expectations, our context, our environment. And that filter, well, that's where marketing can work its magic. Okay, here's a fantastic example. Let's say your job is to improve the train journey from London to Paris. Now, the engineer's solution is totally logical. Spend $6 billion on new tracks to make the trip 40 minutes shorter. It's a huge investment to change objective reality. But the alchemist's solution? That's totally different. For a tiny, tiny fraction of the cost, let's say $10 million, you don't change the train's speed at all. Instead, you put super fast Wi-Fi on board and have attendants serving free champagne. Now, the journey is objectively the exact same length, but the perceived journey is amazing. You've solved the problem by changing the experience, not the physics. All right, let's look at another one of these perception hacks, the decoy effect. This one works because, as humans, we are surprisingly terrible at knowing what anything is actually worth on its own. We don't have some internal value meter for a cup of coffee or a new car. We only understand value when we compare it to something else. I'm sure you've seen this famous example. Look at these options. You can get the digital subscription for $59. You can get the print-only subscription for $125, or you can get print and digital also for $125. Now that middle option, print-only, looks completely insane, right? Who would ever choose that? And you're right, nobody would. It's not there to be sold. It's a decoy. Its only job is to make the bundle on the right look like an absolutely incredible deal. Without that decoy, we'd probably just buy the cheap one. With it, we feel like a genius for buying the most expensive option. Okay, so let's add one final, really crucial layer to all of this. It's not just about logic versus emotion. It turns out we also operate under two completely different and separate sets of rules that govern our behavior. On one hand, you've got social norms. This is the world of community, of favors, of relationships. You help a friend move, they buy you a pizza. It's not a transaction, it's a relationship. But on the other hand, we have market norms. This is the world of payment for services. It's cold, it's calculated, and it's all about the transaction.
And this quote just perfectly shows the absolute danger of mixing these two worlds. I mean, think about it. You would never offer to pay your mother-in-law for Thanksgiving dinner. The second you introduce money, a market norm, into a situation that's all about love and family, a social norm, you don't just insult her, you can actually damage that relationship forever. Brands have to be incredibly careful which of these two worlds they're playing in.
So, what do we actually do with all this? How can we start thinking less like an engineer and a little more like an alchemist? Let's try to boil this all down into a few key rules that can really guide you. Okay, first, remember the map is not the territory. Your spreadsheet is not your customer. Second, logic is a ceiling, but irrational creative solutions, those are limitless. Third, context is king. Nothing has value in a vacuum. Everything is relative. Fourth, try inversion. If you're stuck, ask, what would a truly terrible idea look like? The answer might be its opposite, just like with Red Bull. And finally, the golden rule. If every single one of your competitors is being logical, the greatest advantage you can possibly have is to be the only one who isn't. The real opportunity, the real breakthrough, isn't in optimizing the path everyone else is already on. It's in exploring the irrational, psychological path that nobody else even dares to take. So let me leave you with this. What logical assumption are you ready to challenge?